Well, it's been President Obama's top priority these past few weeks, jobs. The nation's unemployment sat at a staggering 9.7% last month. And while the White House is looking for ways to get millions of Americans back to work, what happens to all those other programs which had been on deadlock, like, let's say, creating a consumer financial protection agency, or are they going to get benched? Let's bring in our congressional panel. Pennsylvania Congressman Joe Sestak, a Democrat candidate for the U.S. Senate, and Colorado Congressman Mike Coffman, Republican member of the House Small Business Committee. Gentlemen, thank you very much for talking about this. Congressman Coffman, you say that it's not a question of how to juggle all the priorities. It's a question of focusing singularly on the most important priority, which is putting Americans back to work. But what happens with all the other programs on deck for Congress? How does Congress juggle them all?
You know, what the American people will expect, and certainly they signaled that in the elections in New Jersey and Virginia, as well as in Massachusetts, is what they want this administration to do is to focus on jobs and the economy. That should be its only focus from January of last year forward, and not on a government take over the healthcare system, not on raising energy prices through cap and trade, and not on running extraordinary deficits that will choke off this economy's ability to ever fully recover. You know, I think that what the American people, the signal that they have sent to this administration is they're tired of bailouts for big government, big business and big labor unions. They want to focus on jobs in the economy, and that is really a focus on small business.
Congressman Sestak, what about programs like creating a consumer financial protection agency? This is supposed to safeguard us from the abusive practices by banks. I mean, is that going to have to get benched?
Let's hope it doesn't. I mean, when you can have credit card companies today forcing you to pay 400% for overdrafts, or right now you see predators going into reverse mortgages and taking advantage of our seniors, we need something to protect our consumers. But to Mike's point, if there's anything I learned in my years in the military, is take the lessons learned and apply them for the future about jobs. For example, number one, I watched the Clinton administration give 3 surpluses in those last 3 budgets because it had a pay-as-you-go requirement. So in 2001, when the Republican leadership threw that away, we got $6.5 trillion in debt. So we need to get that into law. Second, I learned something from President Reagan. When he had that S&L crisis where the financial institutions were going down the tube, he said, I got to spend 4% of our gross domestic product to salvage it. That's what we had to do similarly. And so today, last month, we only lost, although it's still intense, 20,000 jobs, where a year ago, as President Obama took over from President Bush, we were losing 600,000 jobs a month. Third, small businesses. We learned from the last recession, 2002, if there's anywhere, and I think Mike will agree with this, where we have to have tax credits or help incentivize job creation, it's in small businesses, which have been ignored. Because 15% tax credit for a small business will create, for every job that they do, they create will soak up 5 million jobs. In 2002, 80% of the jobs coming out of that recession were soaked up by small businesses of less than 100 people. And last, address the national debt. Both of our sides have to do a much better job at that. We have to go further than what President Obama has said. We have to address entitlement spending. We must address these tax loopholes that ship jobs overseas. And we've got to be tough about paying as you go. There's a lot to do together with the other side.
All right, so Congressman Coffman, would you agree that those should be the priorities? And do you feel the Republicans are being heard, considering the fact that Democrats are in control of both houses, haven't been able to pass health care reform as of yet? We're in 2010. Health care reform was all about 2009. Now we're all about jobs. How do you mix it all? How do you get it done? How do you pass anything?
Well, certainly the American people, again, has spoken in these last elections in New Jersey, Virginia, and in Massachusetts. Let me just say first, having been a small business owner for 17 years, when we talk about this tax credit for job creation for small businesses today are just trying to hang on. And it's not necessarily about creating new jobs, or it's not necessarily about increasing the wages of existing employees. It's just about hanging on. I've been through a recession before as a small business owner. What we need is reducing tax rates, and what we need is to extend the Bush tax cuts that are due to expire at the end of this year. And we look at the president's budget, and certainly he's going to end those Bush tax cuts, or at least that's his message to the Congress. And I hope the Congress doesn't go along with that. We need a reduction in tax rates. We need a reduction in some of these onerous regulations that are hurting small business.
Congressman Sestak, what do you say about those
yes.
tax breaks? I mean, you're sitting there advocating that these small businesses, they need these loans in order to be able to hire, in order to provide health insurance for many of the unemployed without health insurance right now. But at the same time, if you let President Bush's tax cuts expire, then what are you doing to those small business owners who are making above that salary that President Obama considers to be wealthy?
Right. 86% of all small businesses in America are exempt from any of the health care tax application policies that were recommended in the House bill. For example, small businesses today, according to the Commonwealth study, pay about 18% more for their health care than do large corporations because they can't spread the risk. We had that public option, which was a national plan to let them, if they were so elected, to put their employees in that so they could spread the risk of 1 of 10 employees having cancer. So that would reduce their taxes, so to speak, 18%. But to your second point, this is a very important issue about tax incentives for small businesses, because small businesses are where the majority of Pennsylvanians live, across America where they work. So they can't get loans today. So if we can actually back up loans by the federal government for community banks that lend to them, we can really get going again, because it is about creating jobs, not just hanging on.
All right, Congressman Sestak, Congressman Kaufman, thank you very much, gentlemen, for talking to us today.
Thank you.